I'm Jennifer Koss, Director of NOAA's Coral Reef Conservation Program. I'm delighted to be here today to share a few updates on recent international coral reef conservation efforts, namely those through the International Coral Reef Initiative and the Global Coral Reef R&D Accelerator Platform. The International Coral Reef Initiative, or ICRI, is over 25 years in partnership for coral reefs and associated ecosystems. ICRI was launched at the first conference of the parties to the Convention on Biological Diversity in 1994 and subsequently announced at the high-level segment of the Intersessional Meeting of the United Nations Commission on Sustainable Development in 1995. ICRI is the only international partnership between governments, international organizations, NGOs, scientific entities, and private organizations working solely on coral reefs. Currently, there are 93 members in 44 countries that are custodians to over 70% of the world's coral reefs. The main objective of ICRI is to encourage sustainable management of coral reefs and their associated ecosystems. This is a map of the current ICRI membership. The original members are highlighted in coral, and as you can see, it's the United States of America, Jamaica, France, the UK, Sweden, Philippines, Japan, and Australia. The more recent members are highlighted in blue, and across the bottom are the global intergovernmental organizations and multilateral environmental agreements who also partner with ICRI. Up until this fall, ICRI had been chaired most recently by Monaco, Australia, and Indonesia, who did a marvelous job despite the challenges of COVID. In October of this year, the chair passed to the United States, and we aim to carry forward and build upon many of the initiatives our previous co-chairs started. Through its members, ICRI undertakes a range of actions and activities. We bring together actors in the conservation of coral reefs by being a large network, hosting general meetings, side events, and focused events. We highlight emerging topics and address concerns shared by members. We share leading best practices in coral reef science and management. For example, ICRI recently created the web-based restoration hub. We build capacity of coral reef managers by hosting scientific meetings like ITMEMS or the International Tropical Marine Ecosystem Management Symposium. We also manage the Global Coral Reef Monitoring Network. Recent priorities include continuing the work of the ad hoc committee established to follow the Convention on Biological Diversity's post-2020 framework development process. One of the key objectives of this group is to develop a recommendation from ICRI on the inclusion of coral reefs in the global biodiversity framework. This was started in May of 2020, but the process for negotiating the new global framework was delayed due to the COVID pandemic. Negotiations are underway under a new virtual format. The Reef Restoration Ad Hoc Committee are currently in their third year and have generated valuable resources, including coral reef restoration guidelines and strategies, and have also developed the Coral Restoration Database, all of which can be found on the Restoration Hub. ICRI is a supporting member of the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration and hosted a successful virtual event focusing on coral reef restoration on June 2nd. The event attracted over 850 registrants, and the inspiring presenters were joined by high-level speakers such as Ambassador Peter Thompson, the Right Honorable Patricia Scotland of the Queen's Council, and His Serene Highness Prince Albert II of Monaco. Also this year, in October of 2021, the report on the status of coral reefs of the world was released. This is the first global report in 13 years. Over 200 data sets from 75 countries were analyzed. The data sets included more than 1.75 million observations of 23 different variables and included over 100,000 coral transects. This was an audacious undertaking led by David Suter of Ames with the support of the GCRMN regional node members. Moving forward, our 22 to 24 draft plan of action, hopefully passed this week, will include 4 different themes. The first theme is on preparing for the future, promoting resilient coral reefs. Our desired outcome for this theme is that actions are taken to understand and promote the resilience of coral reefs and related ecosystems through policies and conservation practices that encourage resilience-based management and the recovery of coral reefs worldwide. Activities will include resilience-based management, capacity building, as well as coral restoration. Theme 2 is on coral reef science and oceanography, advancing and utilizing the latest science and technology. Under this theme, we'll work to ensure new technologies and rigorous scientific data are used to report on the status of coral reefs worldwide and to guide science-based management and policies. The activities here will include building capacity for more comprehensive coral monitoring, as well as hopefully standardizing data collection practices for the GCRMN. Theme 4 is local threat reduction, integrating response planning frameworks. A large effort will be undertaking to review existing response plans and to consolidate them into 1 or 2 frameworks to really ease local managers in being able to respond to various disasters. The last and final theme is diversity and inclusion, expanding the coral reef community. We want to make sure that underrepresented communities, indigenous peoples, youth, and traditionally people who have not been engaged in coral conservation are included. This is a final slide to show you the 2 members of the ICRI Secretariat, Francis and Tom, and their contact information, as well as the website for the ICRI Forum. Moving on, we'll get into now the Global Coral Reef R&D Accelerator Platform Initiative, or CORDAP. During the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia's presidency of the G20, a workshop titled Advancing Global Coral Reef Conservation was held, and that was on July 12th, 2020. The G20 members recognized the window for protection of the world's coral reef ecosystems is narrow and rapidly closing, and no single nation has the capacity to reverse this situation. International collaboration is key. From this recognition and the G20 Environmental Ministers Communique issued on November 22nd of 2020, the G20 decided to establish an R&D accelerator platform to deliver the best science and technology solutions to secure a future for coral reefs. This wheel encompasses the original vision put forth by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It was this vision the founding committee used to negotiate the governance of the platform. The platform aims to deliver novel science and technology, connect existing R&D platforms, support an equitable approach, taking into account gender and the many disciplines and areas of expertise needed to achieve our stated goals. We'll engage with the private sector, we'll transfer knowledge and training to developing countries and less advantaged communities, and we'll have open access to the information and experts at research facilities to ultimately develop and share novel scientific tools for coral conservation. Moving forward, the platform will play a key role in connecting donors with R&D providers, ultimately to end users, the custodians of coral reefs, to secure a future for coral reefs. The platform is composed of the Initiative Governing Committee, the IGC, which oversees and appoints the Scientific Advisory Committee, as well as acts as the board for the CORDAP Foundation. Key to all of this is the platform central node, which supports the IGC, the SAC, and the fund. Thus far, the IGC has been formed. We've had 3 meetings, most recently December 7th. And the Scientific Advisory Committee nominations are in, and the full SAC is being selected now. And in as far as the platform central node goes, it is fully staffed and operational. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia will fund this, the PCN at $10 million per year for the next 10 years. And the PCN is busy currently getting the platform website up, choosing an identity logo, and content is being developed for the website as we speak. This is a quick schematic of the original members composing the IGC. You can see there's 15 countries there, and then several advisory members listed down the side. The inaugural IGC elected officials are the chair, Dr. Osama Fakia, Jennifer Koss, that would be me as the vice chair, and the executive director, Professor Carlos Duarte. So how is CORDAP different? The platform is working from the premise that currently few techniques for coral restoration have the potential for implementation beyond a hectare scale. Cost estimates for multi-hectare projects are in excess of $1 million per hectare, and that warm water coral reefs are projected to reach very high risk of impact at 1.2 degrees warming, which with most available evidence suggesting that coral-dominated ecosystems will be non-existent at this temperature. So it follows that new scientific and technological solutions are urgently required. To that end, CORDAP will run global targeted R&D calls and priority themes selected by the SAC to address the critical issues outlined above. CORDAP is the only international organization fully dedicated to funding and scaling up global R&D for coral restoration and conservation, including for countries who don't have the funds for their own research efforts. Our next steps are for the platform to get fully up and running so that it will be resourced, and management and execution of a coordinated, collaborative, and targeted global R&D program guided by scientific needs and supported by voluntary contributions from G20 members and non-member countries. The infrastructure required to implement the platform is going to be audacious. And to that end, the Saudis have dedicated $10 million again per year to get the platform up and running. Urgent support is required from G20 member countries to complete resourcing the R&D program and enable launch of the first call for proposals. Every cent committed to the platform will go directly to coral R&D projects, with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Koss funding all administrative costs. Here's some contact information on the platform itself. I would be delighted to take questions later on. Thank you.